Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We appreciate it. I'm Jeff. I'm the CEO of Chirpic. This is Nick Brown. He's going to be working our demo today. He's our CTO.
Hi. Hi, my name is Ziad Asghar. I lead AI at Qualcomm. We will be showing a great demo working with our partner Truepic. Kind of shows how you can have fun generating a lot of the AI content, but also do it in a safe manner.
Fantastic. Thank you, Ziad. So, as we sit here today, more images have been created or generated by artificial intelligence than the first 150 years of photography combined. So, the goal of today is to talk about what a transparent media ecosystem might look like in the future. Now, that starts with an open standard called the C2PA, which adds what are called content credentials to an image. So let me just start by talking about what is C2PA. C2PA is an open specification that adds secure metadata. Think about this as the normal metadata on an image, but souped up. And this metadata exposes the origin of digital content and the history of that content over time. So if that content had a size adjustment, an adjustment in hue or saturation, those edits could be incorporated in that metadata and then exposed to a consumer. Now, credentials are how that metadata is actually exposed to the consumer. And we're going to see that in today's demo. Now, you can think of these credentials as sort of like a nutrition label for digital content. So the same way that the food that we consume has a nutrition label, the digital content, the photos, the videos that we look at in our social media feeds would have this same nutrition label that allows us to understand the origin, the history of that content. Now, there's numerous benefits to this. As a consumer, as we think about how we consume news, how we consume social media, it's incredibly important that we have the context of where an image came from, whether it's human created, whether it came through a camera sensor on a device, or whether it was generated by artificial intelligence. As a business, it's also very important. You can think about all of the digital workflows that happen with digital media, KYC, KYB, marketplace images, insurance claims. Understanding the authenticity of a piece of digital media is absolutely critical. Now, with the C2PA standard, one very important part is that it needs to be implemented at the point of creation. So when digital media is generated, when those pixels are formed, the C2PA standard can be leveraged to create that really secure metadata. Now, the most effective way to accomplish that is by implementing where there's scale. And that, of course, is with smartphones. So over to Ziad to talk about our partnership with Qualcomm.
Great. Thank you, Jeff. So today what we have done in all our devices is we have an amazing ability to be able to do a lot of on-device AI processing. What we'll be showing you is a capability where you can actually tell the image or tell the model that you have on the device to be able to change certain aspects of the picture. We want at Qualcomm to allow everybody to have the ability to be able to use generative AI for productivity, for entertainment, for all the different purposes, while being able to separate what is generated content versus what is original content. So what we'll do in the C2PA engagement and working with our partner Truepic is we are able to take basically a picture, let's say when it's captured from the sensor, right from the CMOS sensor, we are able to assign basically these content credentials to that picture. And when we do that, as the picture goes through its life cycle, which means it might be modified, which means we might use generative AI, like in the demo that we will show you guys, to modify the picture in a very big way. We want to make sure that that provenance information goes with the device as we go along. We also want to do it in a way that essentially, even if it goes across platforms, so let's say if you loaded it onto a social network, if you passed it on via SMS, if you did any of those things, we want to have the ability to really truly pass it on to the consumer exactly what has happened to the content that they were looking at. That's the best way to ensure that the veracity of what you're looking at is absolutely clear. Today in our devices, we can do 7 billion, 10 billion parameter models. We have shown text to text, we have shown text to image, we have shown image to image model. What we're seeing in the state of the art is that people are moving towards multimodality, which is really X to X. You will have image to text, you'll have image to video, you will have text to image, right? You have image to text. All these multi-modal sort of areas or what's coming up as we go further in time. We want to make sure that people can do that on the platforms that we create, like smartphones, like PCs, like AR and VR devices, and automotive and IoT products. And we have baked in this capability in the form of an NPU on all our products. Now, specifically from a security angle, we've actually baked in what we call a hardware root of trust that allows us to be able to ensure this level of quality, which means that once we capture and assign those credentials to that image in the camera application, basically no other application within the high level OS should have the ability to be able to tamper with it. And if it does, we should have a way of being able to track that. And that's precisely what we're going to be able to show you. So let's jump to the demo. Jeff,
Awesome.
please
Yeah,
take it away.
thank you, Ziad. So we'll jump into the demo now. I will say we're dealing with authenticity, which is a very, very sensitive subject, and we take security very seriously. So we do two things. One, like Ziad mentioned, we are integrating at the point that pixels are created, so as close to the CMOS sensor as possible. And second, we're running within the trusted execution environment, so at the hardware level of a device to create an even more secure implementation. And this enables any smartphone using the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 to tap into this functionality natively in their applications. So no downloading a separate app to be able to use this functionality. So what we did today for the demo, the first screen you're going to see is the gallery application. We captured an image a couple hours ago using this device. This is a Snapdragon reference device. And the image you see here in the gallery carries this credential marker in the top right corner. This credential mark is that nutrition label that I described earlier. And when you tap on that credential mark, what you're going to see is some very simple metadata that's included here. You'll see the captured at time. You'll see where the image was cryptographically signed, which is in the trusted execution environment of the Qualcomm device. And you'll see the original photo. And this is that metadata that I mentioned that is secure and tamper evident. So if anything were to change here, we would know that using this credential system.
That you can.
So what we'll do next is we will apply some AI edits directly to this image. So over to Ziad to chat through that.
Yeah, so this is exactly what I talked about. What you're looking at right now is ControlNet. It's an image-to-image AI model, by the way, running entirely on the device. As you can see, the device actually, even though it's connected to Wi-Fi, if you put it in flight mode, we'll be able to do all this processing because this is happening entirely on the device. So now, Nick is going to choose a particular image, the same one that we had. He's going to put an input prompt as to how he wants to modify this image. By the way, all of this happening on the device using generative AI. This is about a 1.5 billion parameter model. This is not a small model that we're running on Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. And it says to convert it into a winter wonderland, but here you go, right? So now you have an image. It's been converted into a winter wonderland. There's snow, even though you may not be able to see it out there. Now, we want people to be able to have this kind of fun, to be able to use this with social networking and with other platforms. But what he will do now is if he goes now and taps on that credential logo up there, what you can see is it has the original detail of when that image was captured up top. But if you look at now at the lower level, what it will talk about is that using Qualcomm's trusted execution environment, we have the image that's been modified with the creative work, and it talks about it's created with fast ControlNet 2.1. So specifically says that now, with the provenance information, the image has been modified. It's very clear that this is not the original image anymore, and it's all available with that logo up top that you have seen. Not only can we do this with this particular model on the device, what we anticipate is to take this from images into audio, into video, because those are also kind of content that people create on their smartphones and then they disseminate it to different platforms. And what I think we have after this is a next step where we'll give you an example of how, as you take it to a particular social platform, how you would be able to use the same idea to be able to protect the content, to be able to give all the information to the consumer. So if you look at this now, this is the original picture again, captured on Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 smartphone. It's basically has the content credentials. But now, if you look, we have done the same thing down here where we actually have used the fast ControlNet, which you can see over there. It even shows the prompt that was used, Winter Wonderland. And it converted basically that image into Winter Wonderland. It's all available in that credentials information that you have on the image. But we can actually do this for image that's been modified in other platforms as well. So if you go to the next step over here, the picture that Nick is showing right now, you can see this was created by Adobe Photoshop. So it shows you where the image was created. It shows you the modifications as well. It was actually cropped. It was modified to be able to combine certain assets. All of that data and all of that information is available in the credentials part. Okay? And if we keep going now, let's say that you have an image that was purely created using AI as well. So we also have the ability to be able to run, for example, Stable Diffusion, which is a text to image model. This one actually is generated using OpenAI. And you can see it says that the model is created using OpenAI, created with ChatGPT. So all of that information is exactly there, right? That's precisely what we want. With the elections that are coming up, we want to make sure that people are able to distinguish between what is happening, what was created on the device, what was actually captured by your camera sensor versus what somebody might have modified or changed, right? All of that information is going to be available within the credentials that you have within the images. Now you can imagine we're going to extend this to all the different product lines, to the PCs, to the XR devices, to automotive. We're also going to extend this to all the different product categories that we have. And that's the only way to make generative AI safe. And we're really excited about the partnership we have with TruePic and really being able to show this amazing capability on the device. And you'll see us doing a lot more things together in the future as well.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ziad. Thanks, everyone. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Appreciate it.